All right, Bryan. You know what I want to do, don't you?
Yeah, let's get it going. Start the intro.
Well, let's talk some shit. Bryan Smolinski, Dennis Farrell here, episode 2 of the podcast. I reached out to a guy that I was a massive fan of, especially playing the old NHL video games, collecting the cards. The first time Darius Kasparaitis came onto my radar, I want to say it was maybe a Beckett or a Sports Illustrated article where the caption was Casper the Unfriendly Ghost. And at that moment, I was like, this guy is one of my favorite defensemen. We became Facebook friends, follow his life. He doesn't know it, but internet's talking him. But Bryan, Darius Kasparaitis. Darius, thank you, man.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, I remember the Sports Illustrated article. And I remember they doing a shooting in my house. And the first time I realized how hard it is to be a model, because it took him like 6 hours to do a couple of shots. And it was so frustrating for me. I remember that.
Darius is not one with a lot of patience, I don't think. So, he's like, either get this done or get the fuck out, right, Darren?
Yeah, that's why, God gave me 6 kids, the way I can start practicing patience. And I'm failing every day, especially in the mornings when you get ready for school. But, it's good that, it's always room for improvement.
Oh, so 6 kids. What are the ages? What are the sexes? What do we have?
My oldest, she's 20. I had 3 girls, 3 boys. So 3 oldest are girls and then 3 boys. So my oldest was born in Pittsburgh in 1997. And then my twin girls are 15. And I have a boy 13, boy 10, and boy 7.
Do they realize what kind of a badass hockey player you were?
Not really. Like sometimes I try to show them YouTube videos, but they're not interested in that. But one time, actually, recently, I went to New York Islanders alumni reunion, and I brought all my kids except one. And my son realized, he goes, "Wow, since when you became so famous?"
I got to get to one of those, Darius. So when you're going, we got to hook up, because I know they ask all the time, and I know you guys have a good time.
It's fun, and you see people still wearing your jersey, and my kids were kind of impressed because they didn't realize, because it's been such a long time, so I don't think they realize that. But then when you go to an environment and people recognize you and ask you for an autograph to take a picture, they kind of love it.
And I know Darius, fan favorite in a lot of markets, probably public enemy #1 in a lot of markets as well. But the cities that he played in, he was one of the fan favorites. So I know the islands where he started, and a lot of kids and a lot of families were disappointed to see him leave. And unfortunately, it was because of me.
Yeah, you ruined my fishing career.
Sorry about. I didn't want to leave either. I didn't want to leave Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh was unbelievable. And then when you came in, you took them to the next level, because you guys had some pretty good teams.
Yeah, the moment I got traded to Pittsburgh, I was shocked, because they hated me in Pittsburgh, especially after 92-93 playoffs. And when I got traded to Pittsburgh, I remember Mike Milbury called me and said, "You got traded to Pittsburgh." I'm like, "You're joking. You're not serious." He goes, "Yeah." And I was like, I was so scared to go there, because they hated me. I remember playing there. It was a science, it was a mean science. So when I got there, I was so nervous. And then I was shocked how relaxed the locker room. Probably Bryan knows, going to New York was so uptight, and going to Pittsburgh, I was shocked. Everybody's playing card games. People don't wear shoulder pads, helmets, and I was like, wow, this is cool.
It's funny that he said that, because I was the opposite. We didn't wear shoulder pads. We didn't wear helmets. It was a country club atmosphere. And then I go to the island. Darius and I get exchanged for each other. And I'm like, why is everybody so uptight here? Everyone is losing their mind. Look at the little guy. Which one's that? The youngest one?
That's Parker.
Look at those pecs.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be hockey.
They're all soccer players. They don't play hockey. There's another one, Miles.
What's up, fellas?
Say hello.
Hi.
How's your dad? Is he a good dad? Does he have fun with you guys?
Yeah.
He's famous?
Huh?
I'm famous?
Yeah.
Yeah? How do you know?
Because I see you on TV every time.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Wait, now.
Can you take his socks, please? Go. Jesus Christ.
So I have to ask you now. You make this switch from two different teams. This is what I love about the show.
Yeah. So what happened? What's the question?
So you make the switch to two different teams. You're a young kid at this time. You're still pretty young in the NHL. You're still getting adapted to a whole different country. What is it still a culture shock going from like one state to another state? I'm going to definitely kind of deep dive a little bit later in the interview about your transition from, the Soviet Union to here, but from state to state, how was that for you personally?
For me, actually, I was first of all, I was going from New York to Pennsylvania, and what happened? Whatever I was, for 4 years in New York, I was really enjoying, bagels and all the delis and stuff like that. And going to Pittsburgh, I was shocked. I couldn't find a bagel or a deli. Deli, like, wake up in the morning, go get a sandwich. It was nothing like that in Pittsburgh at that time. And it was really, really, it was a culture shock for me. It was, I think, Einstein bagels, but they were terrible, compared to New York bagels. So, otherwise, I realized that, you pay less. Let me go inside the house. You pay less taxes in Pennsylvania. But I still loved, going back to Long Island because, that was my first, basically, team. So I spent a lot of summers in New York, But slowly, I became, slowly I fell in love with Pittsburgh, Eventually, I realized how cool. It's a very unique town, The moment you go through the tunnels and you see the city in the pit, So it was a good place to play hockey.
Bryan?
Oh, I was going to say, I know you were there for what, 5 years in New York or four? Your first five?
Fourth season, my fifth season, I got traded. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think I was probably in my fourth or fifth year as well. So we, both of us have probably been, pretty similar in longevity there. But he had another 5 years in Pittsburgh. You had you called home, which is probably
I played there 6 seasons, and I got traded at the end of my 2002. I got traded to Colorado.
Yeah, and I think I saw you there because I was in LA because I think I remember you got traded in Colorado. Yeah. And then I was in LA. We saw him a lot. Darius was obviously his known for his physical play. And the one thing I will say about Kasper is he always hit legit. Like he never had his elbows up. He never had that on. And for all our fans who like hockey, he hit heavy. He hit hard. You knew he was coming, but he wasn't dirty. Like he wasn't a dirty player. I will always say that. You knew he was coming. So I always had respect for him because you always knew when he was on the ice. Number 11, always knew.
I agree. I don't think people always it's usually when you play especially Flyers, they always think that you're dirty.
Well, we always hate the Flyers.
And then when I played for the Islanders, I used to play against the Rangers. I remember it was a fun games to play, especially in Nassau Coliseum. So I actually I was not a big hitter when I came to the NHL. I played Russian style, Soviet style hockey. I was physical defenseman. I had a talent to hit, but I didn't really concentrate on hitting when I played in Europe. So when I came to the United States to NHL, my first shift, I remember it was so easy to hit guys. I realized, it was like wow. And what? I also realized that people love it. They appreciate it. So it was kind of rewarding too. You make a big hit, people go crazy. So I think you realize that because in a Soviet system, hitting was like you have to be Canadian or American to play that way. It was about puck movement, being fancy, and I don't think people realize the hitting part. But when I came to the NHL, especially, I started throwing hip check around, and I realized people start, appreciating that talent. So I kind of started doing more and more, seeking attention.
You've talked a little bit about the Soviet Union, but was the NHL always your goal? Because listen, growing up as a young hockey fan, the hockey nerd, I think I've heard one story, and then I have always imagined that every single story was the same. Of like every Soviet Union hockey player had to be snuck out of their hotel rooms in the middle of the night under guard to get away from the KGB to make the whole transition to American hockey, NHL. Was that your goal? How was your transition over here?
No, everything happened so quickly because I was born at the right time. So what happened in 1991, I started playing already in a higher level, and Soviet Union fell apart. So in '92, I played in the World Juniors, and then I played in Olympics. And a lot of guys already left. So that's why I think I had a chance to play Olympic Games, because a lot of veteran players left Soviet Union or Russia and went to play overseas. So we had a very young team, '92 Abbeville, France. So what happened after the Olympics, we won a gold medal. So I got drafted. I had no idea about anything, drafts or anything. I knew, NHL existed, and I watched, super series on TV sometimes. But otherwise, I never knew anything about NHL until, I got drafted. And then I didn't realize, that they're going to let me go so easy. I remember starting the season in Russia, and then the GM of the team, Dynamo Moscow, came up to me and said, "Listen, do you want to go play in NHL?" I was like, "What? Right now?" So, yeah, you can go. So they basically let me go right away. So I came October 3rd, 1992. And then I ended up playing 3 days later, my first game against the Devils.
That's a great story. I love it. What was your biggest, I would say, adjustment you had to make when you first came?
Oh, first of all,
not so much in hockey, but just life. I mean, obviously they say, "Hey, you can go. Go do. You can go be you." You get to the island, you sign your contract, and they're like, "Then what'd you do?" You're like, "Where do I go?"
First of all, I had no sense of the money. I had no idea what the money value was at that time, when I came to NHL, because in Russia, I didn't make any money. So basically, when I got here, first of all, they gave me money, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize 5,000 or 2,000. I didn't realize until later that, that's a lot of money. But what happened, I remember my first day going to a hotel, and my agent telling me to call Vladimir Malakov and leave him the voicemail. And I was like, "What do you mean voicemail?" I was like, "What do you mean? Talk to the phone and tell him, So yeah, you can leave the voicemail to, your friend." So I remember that yesterday. And then seeing all these cars, and they all were different, because growing up in the Soviet system, we had three type of cars, the rich people car, middle class, and poor people, So they all, most of them are the same. So. And then the freedom, of course, you don't have to go and report after the games. You can go out and have a couple of beers with your friends, even if it was underage still. But I remember, my first year was the craziest year ever. I didn't really, every new city I went, it was like, going into like the kid going to Disney World, I remember Al Arbor used to tell me, "Why are you wearing a suit second day after the game?" Because you can go home and change, but it was a lot of things. I just want to look good for practice. My first year was fun. I had a lot of fun. The food, the calories of the food. I gained a lot of weight actually my first year, because going to the restaurants and just picking food, not because I can read. I picked something that costs a lot of money. So I used to get appetizers and the main course sometimes the same dish, just the appetizers were smaller and the main course was bigger. I remember I used to love calamari. Like seafood for me was the discovery of the century. Coming to United States and having all the seafood, ability to eat seafood, I was like shocked. So it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
Now, I'm a nerd. I played a lot of the video games. I teased Bryan because Bryan was not much of a video game player. You come up in this era where you're now in video games. You're on hockey cards. You come into this whole collecting, trading era. For you being in like a video game, something like that, you're still young. You're probably 20 years younger than Bryan Smolinski is, because he's an old fucker.
He's only 8 months younger than me.
Wow.
I always beat Bryan Smolinski in any international competition. He played for US. I don't think he ever won a game against me.
Just one. We all know he just won.
World Cup, yeah. It was a bad goal. Bad call by the referee. It was a goal. They wouldn't let us. It was a setup.
Conspiracy. It was a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to dive into that. But for the video game aspect of it, did you get into the video games? Did you get into the sports card collecting? I asked Bryan on our first episode about saving jerseys and sticks and pucks. Were you like a collector of your own stuff?
Not really. I didn't really collect anything. I don't think we had a lot of time to play. Listen, when I came to the league, I don't think anybody played video games. We used to go out after practice and drink beer, and then, we didn't travel, we didn't have charter flights, so we stay overnight in the hotels. We was a different era in the beginning. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle of my career, I started playing more video games, but nothing to do with hockey because it was hard for me to, to play action games like that. I play more like, easier games like Game Boy or stuff like that. But, it's cool. It's cool. It was cool to see, getting your hockey cards, more and more with each season. I had more and more hockey cards, and people wanted to sign it. It was a kind of cool thing to have, because as a kid, you never dream of things like that. You didn't even realize they exist until you come to NHL and they start making you cards.
Darius, I know you have 6 kids. You live in Miami. What 2 questions really? Do you get the family back to the motherland?
Sometimes I go. I'm actually Lithuanian, so I never go to Russia because I was born in Lithuania. I represented Russia in international play because Lithuania had no hockey at that time when I made a choice to do that. But I go a lot to Lithuania, especially in the summertime. Most of the time, every summer we spend in Europe.
Nice. And then the second part is, you said you're a soccer dad. What's it like? What's it like being on the sidelines as a soccer dad, knowing what you know?
I'm the worst, honestly. I have to watch my temper because I want my kids to be aggressive like I was. I want them to sometimes elbow someone to send a message, and just sometimes I told them, listen, you cannot succeed in sport without being aggressive. Basically, that's what I told my kids from a young age. If you're gonna, be a cheerleader, eventually somebody's gonna take your spot. So I try to, I'm getting better right now because in the beginning, when they're smaller and my kids have talent, I can tell, but you still have, one talent to have is not enough. You're gonna have to have balls, So, I was dreaming, I'm gonna move to Manchester. They're gonna play for Manchester City, and things like that. But slowly, the older they get, my dream is a little, the reality is coming in.
But
Miami is a good place for soccer. It's a lot of soccer here. So especially having a Messi now. So it's one of the soccer meccas now in the United States.
You get into the Florida Panther games?
Yeah, I didn't go to. I didn't watch playoffs yet. I didn't go watch. I watched on TV. I'm kind of hoping the Rangers and Panthers are gonna meet in semifinals. It'll be a dream come true for me because I can go to New York. And watch games, and I can watch games here. Yeah. So hopefully, of course, I'm gonna root for the Rangers, but it's fun. Panthers is a fun team to watch.
I know we have a lot of the same friends in the area. Kaber and Bertuzzi down there. So you get to see those guys much?
I see Kaber a lot. I didn't see Todd Bertuzzi. I didn't know Bertuzzi was here. But I seen I seen a lot of guys here. It's a lot of Russian. Former players live here also. Vladimir lives here, Malakov. So I saw Alex McGillney a couple times. Ovechkin comes here all the time. Malkin, Tarasenko now is here with his wife and the kids. It's a good place to raise the family, but also a good place to enjoy your retirement.
You've ended a lot of careers essentially with your hits. You were a very, very brutal guy on that ice. And now that you're older and then you go to these events and you see these guys now in a different atmosphere, you're not competitive. Is there ever a moment now when you're hanging out either at an alumni game or like a hockey thing where you see a guy that you've probably, spilled a lot of his teeth on ice and you kind of go, sorry about that? Or is it just like, hey, F you, man. Sorry.
No, but you know what, guys? Let me know. The guy, I think the guys who don't know me personally, but then they get to know me like in one of the alumni events. They they let me know right away. Like I met Doug Gilmer recently somewhere in Mario Lemieux's camp. Doggy was there. He came up and he goes, "I fucking hated you." He goes.
Well, you have a special
he tells
story
me
for that. You have a special
directly,
story for that.
And then like Ty
Great.
Dawn, he goes, "You know what? If you come up near me right now, even right now, I would smash you with a stick. I would hit you in the head. Things like that." They still, and you know what was the funniest part? We're playing in Lemieux camp right now. A bunch of old guys, and the people pay money to play with us. And I hammer Pierre Turgeon, open ice. I kind of did it by unintentionally, but naturally, and it was such a big hit. I got scared. So Pierre two-handed me, and he got up and two-handed me. He slashed me so hard, and he goes, "What is the matter with you?" And I go, "I'm sorry, there was an accident." And what's his name? I forgot his name. Nicholas. What's his name?
Bernie Nichols?
Bernie goes, "I loved it. I was like cheering for that. It was like best hit I've ever seen."
Well, he has a great. I mean, I just saw it the other day. It was like Hockey Beast or something where Dougie Gilmore. You mentioned Dougie. He came after you in the parking lot. Can you shed some light on that?
When he played for the Devils?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I drove him crazy. I don't remember the parking lot, but I remember I had a video on the YouTube that even referees are between two of us, and he still tries to kill me. I did something probably, but people don't understand. When I play the game, I remember if I can feel I can get under somebody's skin, it gives me excitement that I can push the guy out of his game, make him do crazy things, and it made me feel like I got my magic working because they stopped playing. They want to just chase you around and take penalties.
Now, I'm not an NHL player, never done an alumni game. You both, this is kind of a question for you both. You both go out there, play alumni game with slubs, guys who have never, backyard beer league hockey. And Casp, you just said you murdered Pierre Turgeon in open ice, but do you guys go out there and you look at these guys and you're like, I'm only going to go 30% to make it feel fun for them? Or do you go out there and you're like, I'm going to teach this guy that has to go do his board job tomorrow what it's like being on the ice with an NHL player?
Oh, it's up to the guy. If the guy is an asshole, so you probably want to send a message. Usually you have a couple of those guys who wanna be hockey players, so they start playing hard. They forecheck you. So sometimes you end up not losing your temper. You just probably use more of your natural ability to hit. And I think that then you realize how strong you are than the regular Joe. Even the regular Joe can look maybe the same size as you are, but I think naturally as an athlete, I think we have more power, especially balance and skating. So I don't know. I've been I never I don't try to hurt people right now, but sometimes when you get hot-headed and you lose the temper, and then you feel like an idiot, especially, being 50. Sometimes, like a couple of years ago, I got kicked out of lunch hockey because I was suspended for 2 weeks. Because I started hitting people, and there was a little fight, so they kicked me out. The ring kicked me out, but then they called me back after 1 week. They reinstated me because guys were missing me,
Yeah, they don't understand, and you play an alumni game or you're playing a charity game. They don't necessarily understand how big and strong an NHL player is, whether it's myself, Darius, or Joe Kosher here in Detroit. They always try to mess with them, and even McCarty's out there. You're dangling them, you're having fun. You let them have their fun until you don't want to let them have their fun.
Yeah.
And it's always for charity. It's never this. You want to show them what it's like because it's a big mystery. Nobody understands that small level of player that that makes it to the top. And Kasper being one of them. When he wants to set the tone, he's going to want to set the tone.
It's the weirdest thing. Sometimes people ask you to hit them. It's like, can you hit me, please? I want you to,
I want to know what it feels like.
Like, can you hip check me? Like, and then you're like, wow, that was so cool. They enjoy it. Some people enjoy it.
So what now? You're very Americanized. What are some of these things here in America that you have come to love? Like, are you a TV guy? Are you a movie guy? Is there a nerdy side of Darius Kasparaitis that we don't know about that I would be shocked? Like, maybe you love romantic comedies. I don't know.
Oh, I think I'm nerdy. I don't know. You know what? Being a dad, I was very fortunate to have all these kids up to my basically 5 of them at the end of my career. So, I had a chance to be a father. So being a father is not much, you can watch on a daily basis. But what I love about America, I feel very safe and free here. I can have different opinion. I can, have a different views. Even sometimes I train with the guys with different views, and we argue a lot. But nobody's getting arrested or put in jail because you disagree with with your political views. But what comes to TV, I really like to watch soccer. I'm a big fan of Man City, so I watch all Manchester City games. But night TV, sometimes I watch playoffs, and I don't know, the TV shows is like I probably like more drama than comedy, because I think drama is more deeper, and I think I like watch that more than something funny all the time.
I want to jump in and take this back a little bit to your playing days and being, coming over. After you established yourself, when some of the younger guys came over from, USSR, did you take them under your wing, show them the way, maybe help them avoid some of the things that you might have fallen into trap-wise?
Oh yeah, I took care of it, especially when I was in Pittsburgh. Alex Morozov came in. We were like neighbors, so I basically raised the kid, and then there was a lot of young players who follow after me, so I tried to help them, give them advice. But most of them, came to the league that it was a lot of, Eastern Europeans, Russians, Czech, it was more a very international game. So I think one point in Pittsburgh, we had probably maybe 2 North Americans on our team. We had a Czech coach, and we had like 8 Czechs, probably 7 former Soviet players, couple Swedes, a Finnish guy, a German guy, and then we had like 2 Americans and 1 Canadian. So nobody spoke English in the locker room. They were so frustrated. I think Ian Morin was one of the Americans, and he was so frustrating for him to sit in the locker room and hear all these different languages, So it was, you try to help each other. It doesn't matter. When I came to the league, a lot of American guys, like Scott LaChance was my roommate my first year, and Bryan knows Scott LaChance. They grew up playing together. So Scott LaChance taught me a lot of English. He had so much patience. I used to ask him all these questions. Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean? Show me in the book. He was my first teacher. We used to watch Married with Children all the time. And Al Bundy. So he taught me a lot. It was a great roommate. McGinnis and Travis Green and Brad Delgarno. We kind of hang out together, and it was a lot of fun.
It's funny that he mentioned all 3 of those guys. I didn't know Brad. I think he was gone when I got there, but when I got traded and I flew to Anaheim, and I think you guys we were on the West Coast. I flew to Anaheim, and I roll in, and it's Scott LaChance's room. And I think you guys roomed together on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, this is just weird because I knew LC from all the U.S. camps. And I'm like, please tell me you didn't room with Darius. He goes, yeah, I roomed with Darius. So it was kind of like we just swapped. We swapped lives a little bit for like the first 2 weeks, me and Darius getting traded for each other. So it was.
Yeah, and I room with, what's his name? The big guy. Frankie LaRue.
Frankie LaRue? Love Frankie.
He wouldn't let me hold the remote control. He would tell me if I touch the remote control, it's going to break my hand. He was scary. That guy was huge.
He was huge. So
he was Star Wars. He was Star Wars every night. Star Wars. I was like, dude, are you serious?
Frankie was like 6'6" and just a murderer. He would kill. Yeah. He would kill people. Yeah. Couldn't play, couldn't skate, but he could kill people.
Who was your roommate before you got traded, Bryan?
I roomed with Eddie Patterson or Glenn Murray.
Oh yeah, Muss.
Yeah,
he was a good player, Glenn Murray.
Good player. So now, what do you do with yourself now, Darius? You love being a father. You're down in Florida. You kind of removed yourself from the game. What are you doing now for kicks?
I actually, I still, I work in the development business, real estate development. We have, we built 3 high rises here. It's a tough job, listen, I didn't remove myself from the game. It's hard to get in the game. I realize it's the politics, it's a lot of politics. Who simple things like scouting. It's hard to get in. You have to know somebody. Somebody has to, do this, do that. So. I would love to be involved still with hockey, but you have to hit the jackpot basically, and it's like you have to know, you have to have connections, especially after hockey, because there's a lot of us, a lot of retired players want to probably work in the hockey business, but it's not really easy to get in. But most time right now, I make a little money doing real estate. And I'm lucky that I can live in Florida and be part of my kids' lives and still make okay living,
Now, we talk a lot about being fans growing up as kids. When you were growing up and playing hockey, was like the whole memorabilia scene over there kind of the same? Like, was there trading cards? Was there like an aftermarket for autographs? How was youth hockey for you growing up? Because I know you were
Union.
Yes, because I know at 14 you left home very young.
Listen, I was lucky to find food to eat. We didn't we didn't have any. We were lucky to get equipment. My first equipment in hockey when I was 8. My first time I started playing hockey, I was 8 years old. My dad gave me figure skates. I start playing with figure skates, whatever they can find. And memorabilia, I don't think we had anything. When I came to Moscow as a 14-year-old, so I got into the system, so Dynamo Moscow system. So they provide me with equipment. But before that, like whatever we can get, used to beg for sticks after the games from older players, but we didn't have any, pins or cards or anything, we try to get, sometimes as a 14 or 15-year-old, remember, I tried to find food. We were starving all the time. Ask Alex Kovalev. We grew up together in Moscow. We used to starve. There was not enough food for us to eat. And at that age, now I have my kids, same age. They're always hungry. Imagine being in Moscow, no parents, and you're always hungry. So we didn't trade anything until I came to the United States. I realized it was a business with hockey cards. We didn't have anything like that then.
So when you were playing in Russia, or you're in Moscow, who did you look up to when you're in Dynamo?
Oh, usually the Fetisov, Kasatonov, Makarov, Larionov, all those guys were like Kamensky. They all
legends.
Show such a fun hockey. So we all watched them on TV. And also older generation. The guy who discovered me in Lithuania, his name was Valery Vasiliev, number 6. He played in 1972, Super Series. He was a very tough, rugged defenseman. So that's how he found me in Lithuania. I was playing, for the 2-year-older team against Dynamo Moscow. Zhamna was playing on the team, opposite team, and I was just hitting everybody. And he goes, "Who's this guy?" And that's how he asked me during the game. I remember during the game, he came up to me on the bench. He changed the benches. He walked to my bench with the alcohol breath, and he goes, "Do you want to play in Moscow?" I was like, "Wow, yeah, so okay, you will." And that's it. That's how I ended up going to Moscow from Lithuania. But it was it was amazing. I never dreamt about going to Dynamo Moscow. That was one of the top teams in the country at that time.
Yeah.
And I know we're about to wrap up this interview. I know I have a question left, Brian. If you have to go ahead and jump in.
No, let's end it. We'll let Darius go. We'll finish it on this.
No, you can ask. You can ask.
When you look back on your NHL career, what was your one moment you feel like if you had to point a new fan who doesn't know who you are to your one NHL moment that goes, you want to know who I am? Watch this clip. What clip, what moment, maybe even what game would you point them to go, this is Darius Kasparaitis?
I think if you just put on YouTube Darius Kasparaitis hitting vault, I think Pittsburgh Penguins made that, and there's a lot of hitting involved there. And I feel like if they see that, they would probably, a lot of them would fall in love with me. And a lot of people, like I have a lot of friends now from Latin America, soccer people. And I showed them the clips from when I play hockey, what I did, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, this is illegal, you can't do that." Like I have friends like Blaise Matuidi, he's a World Cup champion, 2018 France team, and every time he sees me on YouTube, he's like, "You guys are crazy! Like who does that? Like how can you do this? What kind of sport is this? Because I feel like hockey is such a cool sport." People don't really understand, and I think hockey is the best way to watch hockey is live. I think TV is fun, but when you watch hockey live, you really feel the energy. You really feel how athletic the players are, And I feel like me and Bryan, if we had social media when we play, we probably have 1 million people following us, And not because they love us, because they probably, most of us, like for me especially, most of us will probably hate me, Half of them probably be from Flyers.
All right, I got one more, and this is very nerdy, and I apologize. But in the last episode, I still play the NHL video games. I know I'm almost 50 years old. The last couple of games, they've added in the alumni teams. You're on a lot of these alumni teams. Do you have a lot of young guys or kids coming up to you going, "Oh my gosh, I've played with you now in the last couple of games"?
No, but that's why I tried to listen. My kid got the game. Maybe this last year's version. I said, listen, I have to be on a game somewhere. I tried to find myself, but I couldn't find it. But I got to go look again because I think he has NHL or maybe he has the Mighty Ducks game. So which game I should buy? Because I want to show my kids.
And you're for sure in NHL 24. Go to
24, perfect. Yeah. I got to go get one right now and get my ego back.
Yeah. You are 100% in it. You're on the alumni team. You're on every team you've ever played on. So if you go in and pick teams, you can go to the alumni team. And
you have an NHL game on Nintendo or whatever you play PlayStation?
PS24 on the.
Oh, you have it.
I have NHL 22.
22. You have to get 24. I'm on it. We'll get it. We'll get one.
Yes, because you're in it. And that's why I was wondering, because my favorite thing now is I combine the old rosters and new rosters.
Cool. Cool. I'll do that.
Yeah. All right. Listen, hopefully you will become more of a friend of the show as we get rolling. This is only episode 2.
Anytime.
And thank you so much.
Yep.
Bryan.
No, Darius, great to connect. Great to see that you're doing well. Happy to your family. Happy to see you down in Florida. Maybe we'll when I'm down there, we'll have to get together.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, he has my number, so text me anytime. I'm here.
Love to.
All right, guys.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you so much.
Yep.